March was like momentum and motivation was our theme. And so today's topic is from stuck to unstoppable, like breaking through resistance. And a lot of times, tell me if you guys have heard a lot of other entrepreneurs having a weird funk that they're going through right now. I'm sure other people are too. I listen to a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. And so people are like in this weird, I don't know, limbo area. And a lot of times I can feel lazy, but that's usually not what it is. A lot of people want to do stuff and feel productive and they just get in their own way or they get in their own head. And so I'm hoping that this call can address some of those things and think about the psychology behind it and bring some awareness around your own places that you feel resistance or get stuck and work through it.
Pretty good. Yeah, let's get into it.
Cool.
I feel like
And
it's just the
then
season right now. A lot of people, I don't think necessarily just entrepreneurs.
I'm
A
sure.
lot of people, I think, are just feeling a little stuck with whatever they have going on. And it's also
Yeah.
just a weird time, like where the time just changed and we're going into a new season and
Yeah.
getting out of that like winter funk. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the psychology of resistance, it basically taps in on mindsets that might keep you in like a stuck state. So things that keep you paralyzed and moving forward, fear, perfectionism, procrastination, doubt, claiming you're too busy. We make time for the things that we care about, right? The things that we prioritize. And so if it's something that you're not necessarily feeling super excited about, it might be time to evaluate if that's something you actually really want to do, or if you're just in a like weird limbo area where you just don't have energy for a lot of things. Like someone could literally present the perfect thing in front of you and you wouldn't necessarily feel like super excited to jump into it. And then it would be looking at your own ways of recharging, of becoming moving forward. So some people need activity for that. Some people need a rest for that. It's just knowing yourself and becoming more self-aware of the patterns that you might be stuck in.
Yeah, and there's definitely different types of that stuck, like you were saying. Even just fear-based, there's so many different things that people think about. There's the fear of failure, fear of judgment. I think there's six different ones that they say that people feel.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown, that sometimes makes it hard. All these thoughts are different things. I think it's interesting because a lot of the times you just if you look at it from the outside, you're like, okay, why are you overthinking this right now?
Mm.
Especially when sometimes I think our biggest issue is we want to see the end picture. Like we want to see all the steps in between the end picture versus it's okay to fumble and just figure it out as you go. Overcoming the analysis paralysis and the overwhelm, or even self sabotage and limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
there's just, yeah, there's so many things, obstacles that can get in our way that don't necessarily have to play a role at all whatsoever. It's really just our own mental blocks that we're allowing to come into our life.
Exactly. And I feel like when we feel ourselves stuck, I feel like it can fall into two categories, or there's a lot of categories it can fall into. But when you feel like sad or down, that can sometimes feel like you don't have any options or you don't have enough options to be able to move forward. And so a lot of times people feel just, what's the word I want to say? Not like ill prepared necessarily, but they're just like feel hopeless. Or the anxiety concept, and I get this from Alex Hermosi. He says, if you're sad, you feel there's not enough options. So you just feel like stuck in this down energy. And then if you're anxious, you also feel stuck, but it's generally because you have too many options. So you're just like, which one of these things should I pick? I got to make a decision. I got to make a decision. Then you get scared to make the wrong one. And the answer to both of those is make a move. Do
Mhm.
something. One micro little move. If you're feeling like you don't have any options, try something. Go outside, get some fresh air, get into a new environment. And then if you feel like you have too many options, just pick one. Take one step forward, try something. Your intuition and your inner guidance is going to tell you whether or not that feels right or not. Ask someone, dig a little deeper into that subject to see if that's something that is going to lead you closer to where you want to be or further. But doing something will start that wheel turning again, and you'll stop feeling like you're just stuck in the mud.
Do you
And
have
so
an example of
recognizing,
anything that you could share of where you're feeling stuck? Anybody, but
yeah, for
whatever.
sure, anybody.
I can share.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
So it's completely impromptu, so I have to pull my thoughts. But so, for example, I want to try something new, or I have done everything, but not in a way that it's a volume that I can feel like super satisfied about. So I want to scale it up, and I have to like know my lane, and I have to focus. So that's what I'm working on right now, and I don't know that yet. I'm still exploring. I'm still finding what's my thing. So I have my checklist of actions, and not everything is exciting because, especially having some sort of experience, it's like constant unlearn things and also learn things. So for a newbie, it's going to be different. For something who already knows something, it's going to be like a different start, right? So I have a list of things I have to do. My mind says, but my heart can't do those, right? Because it's challenging. Be on Zoom like 5 Zooms a day, or even one Zoom a day for a week. Be consistent. But
Mm,
those are the simple things that a lot of us as humans struggle with, like being consistent, being disciplined, right? And having that focus and ignoring the fears and stopping self-sabotaging, like Jackie mentioned. So all of these hold us back. And in a similar way, I have a checklist and I want to do things, but I can't do for one or the other reason. Either I'm exhausted or I feel like I need to take a breather and I go away and do something else, and 2, 3 hours pass by. And then I come back, I don't feel like picking it up again. I keep
mm,
procrastinating the same thing over and over. When you say make a move, don't be idle. If you're not exactly making that move, it's okay. If you're not being on Zooms like you think, it's okay. But at least connect people somewhere, somehow, make some connection. So if that person is there on that Zoom, maybe you have a push like, you know what? Moni is going to be there or Jackie is going to be there. Let's go along. I didn't had planned to go to Orlando, make 4 hours drive and be there in a meetup. But now I was seriously questioning. I only spoke to Rich and I know nothing about him. I haven't seen him. I haven't heard about him from anyone. But after knowing that, okay, Jackie knows him and like a lot of people I'm seeing, and it looks like familiar community, not so strange, that gives me a push. In easier words, maybe it's not the only way that you think is the way. It's okay sometimes to take different routes, but take some sort of action. If you're not making one step ahead, make 0.2% step ahead in that day. Take some sort of action. So if you're not able to achieve that goal for within 30 days, it's okay. Maybe you're gonna achieve in 60 days or 90 days. It's still okay. But if you're like overthinking, doing analysis paralysis, and be feeling like, oh, I'm stuck, oh, I have so much fear, oh, what to do. If you're just being idle, it takes you nowhere. But that weight itself,
mm.
because as a human being, we are having that constant feeling of guilt, feeling low, feeling lost. We get so used to that feeling, and then the more we delay, the more we're going to settle in that feeling, and it's going to be more
Absolutely.
harder to come out of that shell.
Yep. For sure. That's definitely one of the not scary things, but one of the danger points of the longer you sit in the stuck, it's like quicksand, right? The longer you're in there, the more solidified you're going to get. And so you do need to do something as soon as you can. And your point about having some external accountability is definitely like the next part that we go into, which is if you're having a lack of motivation to do whatever it is that you feel stuck in, tap in with someone else. Give yourself an external like point to try to get to someone else that you're going to be accountable to. If you tell Jackie you're going to go to the meetup, you're going to feel responsible to go to the meetup because you already told Jackie that you would be there. And so giving yourself these little accountability points can help you get out of your own self-sabotage. And so that's why they say accountability partners are really helpful. If you truly think that I can't imagine going to 5 Zooms a week is somehow moving your business forward, but if somehow it is, then you would want to have someone that you check in with to say, hey, I went to 4 out of 5 this week. That way you're saying out loud or writing out the how far you did get. That way there's a measure and it time doesn't just fly by because I feel like that can happen really easily. Is we'll get to it next week or we'll get to it tomorrow or we'll get to it whenever. And if it's something that's truly important to you, or something that will truly make a difference in your life and you know that, the sooner you can get on it and become consistent with it, the faster you're going to get to where you're trying to go.
I think what you said too about if you're aware of your goals and you know why you want to reach those goals, you can give yourself the grace in how you reach those goals. Like you had said something about maybe you made a goal for something for, I'm going to do X in 30 days, but it might take you 60 days to get there. Whatever the reasoning behind that is, you have to be in tune with yourself to understand, like, because there's some people that are like, okay, if I say I'm going to do this every day for 5 out of 7 days a week, this is going to get me to my goal, and I do that, they can accomplish that. But then there's other people that maybe they're too ambitious and they're putting all these things on their plate without realizing, okay, but you also are a mom and you also have a full-time job and you're also doing, it's easy for people to want to make goals based off what other people around them are doing. But if you know where you're at and you're like, okay, I might need a week off or whatever the case may be. I've been thinking about, and it's funny because there's all women on this call, but if you guys are not in tune with your cycle, it's definitely something that I've gotten more in tune with in the last, Gracia,
I know I saw.
in the last maybe year or so, learning about how our bodies are wired to go through different seasons in our 28-day cycle. And that luteal phase, if you're not familiar, that's like the week before your period. It is rough. Like it, I have,
Mhm.
now that I pay attention to it, I'm like, okay, I can feel physically, I'm not going to be able to lift as heavy as I do at the beginning of my cycle. Little things like that I never paid attention to, or, oh, I need a little extra sleep this week. Whereas before,
Mhm.
it'd be like, oh, Jackie, you're just being a little bitch. No, your body needs that, and you should give yourself grace for that. So just understanding like where you're at and knowing that why are you trying to reach the goals that you're trying to reach? Because that's another thing too. Listening to people like Alex or Mosey, I love Alex Ramosi, Alex and Layla. I like their content a lot, but I've started to realize that I'm not looking to build a business to scale like their business is.
Right.
So my output is going to look a lot different than what theirs looks like because I have other goals that are more important to me that I'm more focused on. And I'm happy with that. So understanding, I think that's the thing that people have to be careful with is it's so easy for us to try to compare ourselves to other people, but you really have to go inward and figure out, okay, this is what I want. This is the reason why, and I'm okay if it looks like this.
Yeah. And I just want to
And
add
making smaller goals, right? Like we talked about, I think it was last week, is instead of putting like 15 things on your to-do list or 15 things that you're trying to be consistent with, pick one thing that you're going to stay consistent with. And then once you show yourself that you can do that, then you feel like you have the experience and you've kept your promise to yourself so many times. Like now you can get on to the next thing and the next thing because you've proven to yourself it's possible. But giving yourself 15 things and then being irritated or down about not getting all 15 things done every single day, you're just setting yourself up for failure, which we often do as self-sabotage so that we can prove to ourselves that we can't do the things that we think we can. Figuring out how you move and what's stopping you from noticing your own patterns so that you can get
And I
out of
just
your own
want to
way.
add small thing. Sorry, Moni, to interrupt.
So
Yeah, I had a thought. I thought to share. So I think all of us ladies in this call, as an entrepreneurs, as something we are doing on our own, like being ambitious and all, right? We are being our own boss, which is great, right? We have our own goals, we have our own ambitions and all. But then, if we have a friend in the same group, and if someone is going through something, we always cheer for them. We always say positive and lift them up, right? So, one thing I would like to remind is don't forget to hug yourself, right? To
true.
appreciate yourself, to give that credit to yourself, just like how you treat the other person, the other friend. So it's so important that you have to play both roles, being a boss to say what you have to do, but also appreciate, okay, I know where I am at. This is what is doable, and I did my best. So having that sort of satisfaction is also important to keep moving forward.
Agreed. Like
That's
Jackie
why
was
I
saying, that
think,
giving yourself that grace, right?
and I think, and it's funny because I struggle with this. I don't know why, like, I want to be more consistent with it and I'm just not, but journaling is so important for that very reason because like different emotions wherever you're at when you're journaling, even just going back on previous journal entries, I've gotten value from doing that for myself, but I know if I was more consistent with that, you're really doing like a personal intake of this is where your head is at, looking at different things, tracking the milestones, the little things, being even just as simple as my 3 wins for the day. I know we've talked about that in the past.
Mm.
Those things add up over time because you are putting this, it's like the deposit into your self-confidence bank. The more that you do that, the more that you're reassuring yourself of, okay, maybe today didn't feel like a win, but if I take a step back and I look at this past week, I did this, I did that, and I'm happy for doing those things. But the days will fly by without you even noticing if you're not taking the time to write it down and be able to look back and remember too.
Yeah, I agree. That's why these exercises talk about journaling, so that we can get ourselves back onto writing down our thoughts. Because I think it's psychological, right? I think it's proven that writing things down will give you almost like a third party perspective, which I think is so interesting because you're writing to yourself, right? But being able to get it out on paper feels differently than letting it ramble around in your head. And yeah, I highly recommend get yourself a fresh new journal if you want to start fresh. Don't be like me with 15 different journals for 15 different things, because I definitely do. But at least they're being put to use. I'm just like, what did I use this for? And you flip back and you're like, oh my goodness, I was going through some things. But just having somewhere, even if it is your daily 3 things journal, um, it makes such a difference to be able to look back and just be like, look at these little tiny wins I was so excited about, and look at where I am now. It can give you some amazing perspective and give you the opportunity for those little tap on the back moments.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think with the breaking through resistance too, it's important to look at it from the other perspective of acknowledging that resistance is a good thing because it's showing you that you're growing. You hear that saying, growth only happens in the discomfort. And it's a good sign that you're on the right track.
They're called growing pains, not like growing joys, right?
Yes. But yeah, and it's good to reframe that so that you're looking at it from a positive angle of, okay, clearly I'm doing something to help grow myself, put myself out of my comfort zone, proof that you're growing. And again, being easy on yourself with what that looks like and understanding that the small steps really do add up and it can help trigger that momentum of what you're working towards. I know for me, one of the things that I've been stuck in, and it's funny because I feel like I shouldn't be stuck in this, especially knowing Monica, but it's the content. Like, I want to post so much more than I am posting, and I'm giving myself grace in that I have still been posting. I've actually been trying new things where I'm starting to reach people that aren't my followers, which I think is a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
and that's my win, right? Because I'm not necessarily getting the results I'm looking for, but I'm also tapping into this new area of, okay, I've never really gotten likes from people that aren't following me. You know what I mean?
Jackie, I had no idea. We're talking offline. Like, we're about to get it on and
It's,
popping. I
I don't know
got
what it
just the
is.
thing for
Like,
you.
I just don't want to get behind the camera, I feel like I just like, and
You
then
don't
because
have to.
I feel like it's because I know I gotta edit it, and I'm like, man, I'm already
No,
behind
see,
on editing.
I love you, but I do think sometimes you do too much editing. We can talk about this off topic. We don't need to do. I'm
I
just
love it.
saying, I got you. We're about to
Yeah,
blow up your Instagram. Get
let's
ready.
go. But yeah,
Yes, but I
what's
hear
what?
you on
Well, and
on that.
that
Like,
was my example when we were talking about this. That's the first thing that came to my mind is I know I shouldn't, and then that's why I was saying I know I shouldn't be knowing you, like I shouldn't have that issue. But yeah, it's one of the things
and
like
show up a lot. I feel like I see you often, and I'm like, look at Jackie. I know that's one of your things that you want to get out there more, and I feel
it's
like you're
really
out
just
there.
the volume. I'm like, you hear the people say even just once a day. I'm like, I'm trying to do that, but I can't get that. I'm like, okay, what is it? I just need to plan this ahead of time so I don't have to think about it. And but yeah, we
I
could talk
got you.
about that. But I want to hear what's something that like you're dealing with that you're feeling stuck on.
I'm not so much on content focused at the moment. I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
might not be one of your goals.
Yeah, maybe down the lane after a year or so. Right
Hmm.
now, I just want to do some projects, some deals, get the real estate game going. I don't want to make noise and just have this inflow of people. Maybe that's one way networking helps get all of this stuff too.
Yeah. definitely build your
W-2.
personal brand.
I had
That's
a
something
W-2, which stops me from being super active on social
that
media.
makes
So I
sense.
need to protect
Yeah,
myself until I quit my
I
job
hear
on
you.
real estate. But I have to build my real estate so that I can confidently quit my job. It's like a
That
little bit
makes sense. Yeah.
tough
Totally makes
place, tough
sense.
spot, but for now, I'm just believing in me and trying to make that intentional connections, helping each other and learning from others. And I just want to play along rather than standing out and making noise and doing all that sort of things for
Yeah,
now.
yeah, for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
all in. If there is any work, any action that needs to be taken offline, I'm all in, just not on the social media.
Totally.
So,
And not everybody
Jackie,
needs to be.
with that being said, any one of you, if you need like any help on social media, use me. Like I can give all bells and whistles.
Nice.
Seriously. Yeah.
Love
Okay,
it.
Monica, what's yours?
I need to, I'm working on sales funnels right now, and it's irking me because I'm a perfectionist and I don't feel like it looks like perfect. And I
Mm,
want like when someone clicks on it that it's like perfection and it guides you through like exactly the way I want it to look. And I'm finding these little, every time I get in there, I find something new that I'm like, oh, I gotta change that. And that's my own like perfectionism that kicks in where I just want it to be like the best it can be before someone else has to look at it. In reality, it doesn't. It just needs to get out there and I can fix it later. But I definitely think it's stopping me. And I wonder the perfectionism is because I'm afraid of success a little bit. So I have given myself a deadline of Friday. So
mm,
watch out.
nice.
Yeah, it's coming. But yes, I had a journal, a whole journaling session of what is stopping you. You've been working on this, and I keep changing. I just changed to a new platform, and I was like, I blamed the other platform for not having enough stuff. And so I'm like, okay, so you just upgraded to a better platform. You have no excuse. Let's
Mm,
do this.
nice.
And so, yeah, I've given myself like action items on my little calendar for the rest of the week of by Wednesday, you're gonna have this part done. By Thursday, you're gonna have this part done. By Friday, we're going live. So
A lot of what you've been doing lately too is you're learning through it, right?
totally. I'm a big learn through it.
But that's
Like I'm
good
a
that you're it's like you're expanding yourself because I feel like that's and I think you do have strategic thinking in your top 10. That's not
mhm,
my strong suit. Like, I'm not the learner. I don't want to sit in class. Like I'm not whatever, but
yeah,
that's cool that you're learning these things to then apply it however you want to
yeah,
apply it.
yeah. And be able to like share it with others. Cause
Mm.
in the ultimate goal is to share everything I learned with other people. Skip all of the hardship that I went through. Let me just give you the this will work.
Such a
I'm
super
happy to struggle
nice
through.
quality because not everyone is like that. People would say, "Oh, it took me many years to be here. How many ups and downs I went through, how much time I spent, how much money I spent."
I
Uh,
hate watching people suffer. Like I will literally be like, stop doing that. No, you don't need to do it that way. Let me show you. Like, you don't have to do all that. No, don't waste your money on that thing. That's not going to help you. Do this instead. Because I can't stand watching people suffer. There's a better way. I can show you, I promise.
Okay,
So,
so do you want to go over these exercises?
yeah. My homie ChatGPT came through with these exercises because I was like, this is the game plan. And I really liked the first one, which was the 5 why exercise. And it was sometimes I swear it's in my head. Like I do swear. My friend Beth will tell you right now, I'm the person that's, yeah, but why? No, I heard you say that, but why? Go deeper. Let's unpeel that onion. Why? Why? And so when it came up with this, the 5 why exercise, I was like, stop it. You know me. Because it really does, like, people will give you, like, oh, I can't do that because of this. And you're like, uh-huh. But why can't you do that because of this? I can't do it because of whatever. And I'm like, but keep going because you're going to eventually get to the core concept of why you might not think you're worthy. It's something deeper. It's usually not, I don't have time. Bullshit. You have time for a lot of things that aren't going to get you to where you're trying to go. So generally that's not true. So what else? I don't have enough money. Okay. Why is this a goal that might not be for you right now? If you're trying to, I have a friend who wants to get into real estate. She's trying to buy a short-term rental and she sent me this deal. I analyzed the whole deal And then I was like, so if you do a DSCR, you're going to need 20%. And she was like, where am I supposed to get that? And I was like, you don't have down payment money? What are you doing? I don't know. What's the plan here, my friend? That's a great why. This isn't going to work. It's not a good enough deal for you to get outside money. So that is a possibility, but it's a shit deal to begin with. Once you start digging into the why, you're just like, "Yeah, this isn't for you." And that's okay. But you do need to get to the places that are truly why you haven't figured this out, or why you're not getting the result that you want, or why you're stuck. And the deeper you dig, the more honest that answer will be. So
Nice.
I highly recommend it.
I've heard that before for like the opposite side of figuring out why you want a specific goal.
Same.
And I think doing it with another person forces you to go a little bit deeper because you could ask yourself why 5 times and give yourself superficial answers every time. But if
True.
you're doing it with somebody else, more than likely they're going to push you to think past where your head is at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if they're like me.
Okay.
And then the next exercise that you would want to try out is the 2 minute rule. So take something that you've been procrastinating on and set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes and then just dive in. Take the time to respond to all the people on your phone for 2 minutes. However far you get is further than you were earlier. So if you have a bunch of text messages or unread things that you've just been procrastinating on, just give yourself 2 minutes and knock it out. If you have dishes in the sink, give yourself 2 minutes, knock out 2 minutes worth of dishes, and now you're further than you were before. We can all give up 2 minutes. And you might end up going longer than that, right? Because you're like, oh, okay, now I'm doing it and I might as well just finish. But it was better than if you like giving yourself like a micro win is psychologically going to help. It's one of those things. I can't stand old text messages, but I ignore people all day. And so this is one of those things where like first thing in the morning, I'll just go through and knock out old text messages.
So true, so true. And just to add a thought for that, on the same note, you can also trick your mind. Instead of doing dishes will take 20 minutes, but you can just tell that it's gonna be 5 minutes. Just do the simple, like little
Yeah.
things, not the heavy dishes. Let's just put away the smaller ones and the bigger ones someone will do. Just trick your mind to start doing work. If you're like working on a document, let's only work for 10 minutes. Then you can take break. Tell your Hit your mind, but once you're into it for 10 minutes, 99% you would think, let's better get it done. Now that I started,
Yeah.
let's get it done. So it's also
Right.
tricking your mind just to start the work in a small interval. And most of the things that we do at our age, where we are in, and at the things what we don't do anything fully focused more than half an hour. I think that
It's
would be
true.
rare cases, like rare cases where we are sitting with no distraction. We are totally into it for more than half an hour. So that means that all of these things take only a little bit of time, right? Spending phone on 15 minutes, instead of doing that, you could knock out some other work. So it's
Yeah.
all in the mind. Just tricking your mind would help a lot.
For sure. This is definitely a mind trick, this whole 2 minute thing. Because like we all know we don't all know that. Even if you did only 2 minutes, like shoot, give yourself 2 minutes and feel great.
Right.
But I know
Something
that I'm
about
gonna end up,
setting the timer too, where you're like,
yeah.
okay, shoot, now I
No,
got
that
it.
no, the timer is key. You gotta put the timer on. People have those Pomodoro. Am I saying that right? You know what I'm talking about? The Pomodoro method?
Yeah. It's like you
They're
work
like the little timers that are like
25. Uh-huh.
exactly, yeah. And so you can I just use my phone.
It's
But if
funny,
you just
Ray, I forget what they're called, but they're like distraction trackers. So it's like a
yeah.
little mini watch you wear on your finger, and it has a button so you catch yourself if you get distracted while doing something. You're supposed to click it, and then you see how many times were you distracted in the time that you set to be focused. And
Mhm.
I tried it the other day because whenever I'm editing videos, I get very distracted. I'm like, oh, somebody texted me. Oh, and something popped in my head. I got to go to Facebook. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, why does it take me like 3 hours to edit this? So I tried it the other day. And I think just knowing that I was tracking my distractions, it made me not have as many because I was like, oh, I don't want to
Mhm.
count how many
Keep
I really
clicking.
have. Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Okay.
Um,
I would totally be distracted to distract, to hit the distract button. I'd be like, oh, I was
Right.
supposed to hit that 10 times and I totally forgot. But on another note, it's funny he's talking about this because someone recently just told me, actually, they sent me a voice audio text. So I've called her a few times and it's important and we're not really I needed to talk to her. And so she sends me a message, and I did not hate it at all. But she sends me an auto message and she says, "Hey, listen," she goes, "I'm sorry, that I haven't," she didn't even apologize actually. She just said, "I just need you to know that people I like to talk to," she didn't apologize, which I didn't, she didn't apologize with intent not to apologize, which is totally fine. It's called respecting her boundaries. So she basically put them up and she just said, "I didn't answer your call, but it's not because I didn't want to talk to you. I love talking on the phone, and that's my problem. So what I do is I don't take unscheduled calls, because if I did, it throws me off. And my agenda, I literally have to schedule a call and have an agenda for what we're going to talk about." I'm thinking, you must have not even a best friend then, because sometimes you just got to take your homegirl's call. But we're
But
not
she
that
also doesn't
close.
know you. So she's,
We're not
ooh,
that
I ain't
close. So
taking
I
your
don't.
call.
But
Mm.
she's also trying to friend me as well as do business, which is cool. But I liked it that she told me, like, she didn't answer for 2 days. She wasn't answering the calls. I'm like, what the fuck did I do to this girl? But
I
and
love
it was
that.
important. But I literally responded to her, and I just told her, "I completely understand, and I envy you for doing what I wish I could
Yeah.
do." And it was
No,
such
that's
a
some
great
strong
story.
boundaries right there.
So literally, she sent me that an hour before I got on this. So it's funny you guys are saying that, because she put that up
I
and
love
it
that for
works. And
her.
I'm thinking, damn, I need to do that.
Crazy.
Friends, I'll lose some friends and stuff, but whatever.
No, but it's so crazy because if you think about it, those audio messages, I've found them a little weird to send. It's not like I'm just not used to it. I get nervous when it starts recording and I'm like, "Oh, I fucked up. I gotta start over." Like I get stressed out. But I've started to use it more, and it's definitely convenient because yeah, sometimes you don't need to have the phone call and you could continue the conversation on your own time with each other. So it's
I
almost like
love a
you're on a
voice
call.
note.
Yeah, they're definitely really good.
Love a voice note. I like it for that exact reason of I don't actually have time to talk to you because I know if we do, we're gonna start talking about a bunch of other shit and I don't have time for
Mhm.
that. So have a nice day. Talk to you later.
Voicemail, don't ever leave me a voicemail in 2025. I'm never going to
Voicemail?
get to it.
Oh,
Uh-uh.
cringe.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, is that what you said? Or you said
Cringe.
voice audio message you meant?
I meant
Voice
like a
note.
voice note.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
voice
would
note.
never
Oh,
leave a
sorry.
voicemail.
Because
Oh
I
my
thought you said
God.
voicemail, and I'm like,
Gracia,
who
I want
listens
you to
to
like
those?
me. I would never,
Never.
never.
It's
No.
funny.
And then the final one is funny because it came up with these what ifs. Like, what if I fail versus what if I succeed? And I read it and I was like, meh, I don't love that because yes, I love the concept of reframing of what if I fail this versus and changing it to what if I succeed, but I prefer how. So even if you want to stick with what if I fail, if you change it to how can I fail, you're probably going to find a lot less options. You're going to find a lot less ways that you could fail versus what if I fail? Because what if I fail just sends you down like a doom scroll or doom spiral versus like, how could I fail? It would be there's a lot of different ways that this could go wrong. And now I know what they are. And then on the better side is like, how can I make this make sense? I used to resist reading the book Who Not How. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it's basically the concept of instead of trying to figure out how to do something, figure out who can do it. And I remember resisting it because I was like, this is stupid. You need to know how you're going to do something before you figure out who.
I'm a
And
big
I mean,
who,
the
not
book
how person.
yeah, but the book literally covers that, right? Because it is like how first, then who, but don't stop at how. So if how is how am I going to make more money? Okay, I need a new website, but I don't know how to make a website. So then you end up like stopping yourself because I don't know how to make a website. And it's like you might not know how to make a website, but that person does. And if that's going to make you money, then go have that person make you a website. So it does start with how, but always like knowing the answer to like how do we get this done gives you a lot of options and then you feel a little less stuck because it's a direction that you can take versus like an if this is possible. Anything is possible. I believe that we live in a universe of infinite possibilities. So if is not a question for me, it's how.
I like that a lot. With the who, not how, too, I think it's important. That's why I like the Clifton Strengths so much because it emphasizes what you're good at and you're able to compare it to somebody else and see how you guys can work together. Because you want to find the people that have the strengths that you don't have so you can focus on what you're good at. But I also think thinking the who, not how definitely is easier to think of with an abundance mindset. Because even in that example, Monica, there's people that are like, I know I'm not good at building a website, but do I really want to pay somebody to do it for me? And if you have the abundance mindset of, yeah, it's going to cost you upfront money, but it's going to save you time. If you think about how much your time is valued
There's a
at,
cost either way.
exactly.
Yeah. And there's a cost of not doing anything, right? So if you know that this is going to make you money down the line and you're not doing it, then it's costing you however much money you could be making in the time that you're refusing to invest. So you can invest the time to learn how to do it so that you could save the money, or you could save the time and invest the money in doing it. And I feel like that's why that's so important, is to figure out like what is the answer forward. I was listening to Tom, I'm gonna mess up his name. Billu.
Oh, yeah.
Either way.
I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Okay, cool. He's a little odd, but he has like him and his wife both have podcasts. And then I think they also have a protein bar company that I just found out about. And they found out, like, somebody said the protein bars you want to make aren't possible to make. And he was like, "What do you mean then? I'm trying to make a protein bar. What do you mean it's not possible?" And they're like, "We just can't do it." And he stopped listening to if it's possible, and he was like, how would it be possible? And they found out they'd have to engineer their own machines, because I guess most machines in the industry use corn syrup, and they aren't going to use corn syrup because they're trying to make healthy ones or whatever. So the thickness of theirs are going to be different than the ones that are in the industry. So they'd have to engineer a new machine. And he was like, shit, we're going to make X amount of money. I don't care. Engineer the machine. But now we can do it because the question of how got answered. And I just remember listening to that being like, yes, that's exactly right. Figure out how. And then if the how isn't possible, now you at least know why. But yeah,
No,
that's
that's very powerful. It's really hitting hard for me because a lot of people know solutions for their struggles just by from everything. It's so easy to know anything right now. So they know solutions, but I think the mind is like foggy mind. It
Mhm.
thinks, oh, I don't know how to be there, how to do that, I'm stuck, right? Just asking ourselves how is like, even we can use this in the journaling, right? Like the three
For
wins
sure.
and three lows. Like, why is it lows? How can I make this a win tomorrow or next week or next month?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, because then it can give you a new goal, right? So if your goal is, I don't know, to, let's say we're gonna go back to my friend who wants to buy a property and she doesn't have the 120,000 that she needs for the down payment. Okay, so now in order to buy this property, the how is to have a down payment. Okay, I don't have it. How can I get it? Then you go to the next step. I can get an investor, or I could take out a home equity line of credit, like whatever. But now you have a how. And so your new goal could be like, okay, I need to get my credit to a certain place so I can take out this home equity and get a decent rate. And then now I have buying power. But now you have a bigger answer than just, oh, I don't have that. Stop. If you start mapping these things out, especially if you believe in the abundance mindset, it's not can you, it's how. And it might not be today, but you at least know the answer.
Yeah. And if we keep working on that how, it feels like we can never be stuck.
I
Never.
agree. I
Because
never
there is
feel
always a
stuck.
possibility.
Always.
Yeah. Awesome.
Always.
Love it. Yeah, does anyone
Unstoppable. See? It says, and your action turns from stuck to unstoppable. Like we just got there.
I love it. Yeah, did
Full
anyone else
circle.
have anything else to add before we get into the meditation? It was a good convo. I like this topic.
Me too.
In here.
All right, awesome. If you are new here, get yourself into a comfortable seated position. We're going to start with some deep breaths in through your nose, filling your belly, filling your chest. Out through your nose. Fully exhaling, using your core muscles to push out any extra air that might be stuck. With today's theme of getting unstuck, we want to make sure we release anything that ties us to any limiting beliefs, any stuck mindsets. Take 2 more deep breaths into your belly, filling your whole body with fresh air. And exhaling anything holding you back. Unlearning, deprogramming, removing any thoughts that don't serve your higher vision. And as we continue to be mindful of our breathing, with each breath, maybe dig a little deeper. Try to find some topics, thoughts, goals, areas of our life that we feel stuck, that feel like they're not quite where that we want them to be, places that we feel aren't moving in the direction that we want. Maybe places that we're talking to ourselves in a way that's not growth minded, that feels more like impossible versus possible. Maybe you've told yourself a story about why you can't have whatever it is, why it's not possible for you, why you don't deserve it. And as you breathe, I want you to imagine yourself sweeping up all of those thoughts, all of those beliefs. We're going to clean them up today. All of those times where you don't feel like you're getting it together. Why can't I do this? Why does it take me so long? Why do I keep failing? Why do I, whatever. Just hear yourself and imagine yourself sweeping it up into a pile. Little debris on the ground. None of these thoughts or beliefs are serving you. None of them are going to get you closer to where you want to be. None of them are going to become the person that you are becoming. So let's get rid of them. Think of the last time you tried to get something done or reach a goal. Whatever limiting beliefs you told yourself, whatever way you beat yourself up, sweep it up. Get it into a pile. And now that we've done some cleanup, let's sweep all of this out the door. Open the door. Breathe in the fresh air. And imagine yourself sweeping it out the door. Maybe use a dustpan. Scoop it up into the dustpan and dump it outside. You now have fresh space, breathing room. You can invite in new thoughts. You can ask yourself new questions. You can start believing new things. You are capable. We live in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities. With each breath, you believe that more and more. Deep breaths. Maybe you take the time after this call to write down some new goals, dig a little deeper, have some more clarity, see your vision a little bit clearer. Believe in yourself just a little bit more. Let's take 3 deep breaths in, solidifying that this is how we will be moving forward with new energy, expanded awareness, fresh possibilities. We want to thank you all for joining us on this call each week, for sharing your energy with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. The light within me sees and recognizes the light in each one of you and your endless possibilities. Namaste. Take a few more breaths to stretch. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And come back and join us in the room.
Awesome. Awesome. Good to see you, Gracia. See you next week.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you, ladies, so much. It was definitely a great call tonight. Loved seeing a couple new faces.
For sure.
And yeah, we do this every Tuesday. So if you guys want to come back next week, we have, I forget what the topic is.
I think it's make your own luck.
Oh, yeah. It's next week's
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, that'll be a good conversation.
Agreed.
But yeah, unless anyone else has anything else to add, everyone have a great rest of your week and finish the week out strong. We'll see you next week.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Good night.